Hey, this is Michaela, and you're listening to Dan Lupinski on the Dan Lupinski radio program.
Thank you, Michaela. Welcome, everybody. Happy Sunday. Of course, the Bears lost. What else is new, right? Well, I'm grateful you could join me today. My guest is Eileen Grubba. She's an actress. Eileen, say hi to everybody.
Hi, everyone.
I'm grateful to have you on this evening. I don't know, it's
Thank
whatever you want to call it. I'm
you.
grateful to have you on. So,
Thank you very much.
so how are you? How are you?
I'm doing great. Thank you. I'm in Atlanta, working on a TV show, and I'm having a lot of fun. A lot of fun.
No, this is a game of silence you're working on, right?
Yes, it's a new show for NBC called Game of Silence, and I suspect it's going to start airing early in the new year.
Okay. So, talk a little bit about yourself and who you are and where you're originally from.
Okay. Well, I'm an actress. I'm originally from Anchorage, Alaska, although by now I've lived all over our great country. Um, I grew up in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, and then moved to Atlanta, and then New York, and then Los Angeles, and now I'm back here in Atlanta again, working and all around. Um, what else? Well, I've been an actor for many many years, and I was an artist as a child growing up, and so those two kind of go hand in hand. Creativity. I also write uh, projects, so I've been doing some of that while I've been here in my hotel rooms as well.
That's cool. I know
Yeah.
notice you got a list of shows you've been at least 70, I think I counted.
Yeah, it's been a lot of years of very, very hard work. I often express that so that people understand when they come into this industry that it's not a cakewalk. It's a lot of hard work.
Oh yeah, that's
Certainly,
true. So,
it certainly is.
what got you started? How did you get interested in being an actress?
That's a very interesting question. I always was a very expressive child, and I had quite a unique childhood, very different than most kids, I would say, and or most would say.
Okay.
and 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 while I was dealing with things in my childhood that involved me being, in the hospital for long periods of time, and um, I also was in a wheelchair as a child. I became very creative in my expression, in in drawing and in creating things, and I started making things and expressing myself creatively in that way. And so at a very young age, I started doing puppet shows with little handmade puppets that I made.
Really?
And yeah, so I guess all of our life experience adds up to where we end up in life. I hope, if we're all open to the experiences and what they bring. So I think it was a collective set of circumstances that drew me to it. But I always thought I'd be an artist or a fashion designer. But as I got out of college, um, I had a someone approached me about doing modeling,
Uh-huh.
and that had happened a few times. And so I thought, well, if I'm going to do stuff like this, then I need to learn as much as possible about it. So I started taking classes,
Right.
and I did that at Alliance Theater here in Atlanta. And I started doing musicals with my church, and I sang in the choir, and so it started there, and then it just grew and grew and grew. And then once I outgrew Atlanta, I went to New York, and um, so that's how it began.
Did you have a lot of encouragement growing up what you wanted to do?
um, did I have a lot of encouragement growing up? I think so, from my parents, certainly from my parents, because they were very encouraging of my artwork, and I actually was quite good at it. I ended up even as a very small child sitting in a little wheelchair, I would win awards for my artwork even at a young age. And As I got older, I even won a college scholarship from my artwork. And so as an artist, yes, they were always very supportive of that. And my mother died fairly young, and I was just venturing into the acting arena with it. But my father lived 6 years after she passed away,
Uh-huh.
and he was very supportive of it. He would travel up from Florida to come and see my, musical concerts in Atlanta, or the musicals we did, the plays and everything. He would always come. He was very, very, very supportive, um, and he even did make a visit out to California. He did make it out there one time before he passed away as well, and so yes, they were very supportive. My siblings, I'm not sure they were. I'm not sure they were as supportive, but I'm not sure that siblings are supportive in any large family environment. So, but as I went along in this crazy business, the half of my siblings who are very supportive certainly emerged and have become my greatest supporters. So, yeah,
Okay.
I hope that answers your question.
Now you're a lifetime member of the Actors Studio, and it is
Yes.
mentioned that you were compared to Geraldine Page, Kim Stanley, and Meryl Streep.
Yes, I have been compared to all of them. I think that, once those comparisons started happening, I used to ask a lot of questions because I didn't even know who Kim Stanley was the first time that happened, and that comparison's been made a lot. And then I started asking more questions so that I would understand why I was being compared, and I think it had something to do with the emotional range and the passion, like the depth of emotion, and I can only attribute that to my exceptional life experience. I just feel like with extreme life experience, you have a lot of emotional depth, and if you're able to tap into that, then you end up getting compared to the people who are most able to tap into those emotional resources.
I mean,
So
you've been in a number of dramatic roles, and like Sons of Anarchy. It was a kind of a feisty role in that one, you know.
Oh yes, Precious Ryan. That was a very fun character. The ex-wife of Bobby from the gang, and mother of his kids, and very, very feisty role. Yes, and it actually was supposed to. I was told it was going to recur for quite a while, but the storyline ended up being cut for reasons that were disclosed to me, but I won't share them
No,
because they're not about me.
that's okay.
They're not about me, so I'm not going to share that. But I was always so disappointed that the storyline was dropped because it was so much fun. That character was so much fun, and I absolutely loved working with everyone I worked with on that show.
So you mentioned you've done a bunch of stage work. You appeared on stage in the production of Tennessee Williams' Kingdom of Earth.
I've done a lot of Tennessee Williams stuff at the Actors Studio, and um, yeah, I like those characters. They're wild. Well, that's the thing, is a lot of the stage work, and then I guess what's happening in my, you know, TV and film career is that the extreme characters are the ones that I am often cast in, and so a lot of that stage work has really prepared me for the kind of roles I'm getting now, um, because they are a wild range of very challenging characters I've worked on the stage. I've worked on the stage. So, and had the great gift of being coached by, at the Actors Studio, when you're putting stuff up over there, you have people like Martin Landau and Alan Miller and Barbara Bain and wonderful, wonderful actors and coaches who are, constantly trying to add to your work.
Right.
And so it's been really such a gift to have the Actors Studio, because I could tackle anything on that stage, and try anything, and fail or not, and learn from it, and anytime you thought you were where you needed to be with something, these brilliant people would teach you even more, or show you where you could have added more to it from your own life or experience. So all those roles, when I think back on all those roles and how much fun, I mean, I had so much fun playing on the stage throughout my career. Yeah.
So what would you say was your favorite role?
And there I have to steal a line from Barbara Bain.
Okay.
Because I asked her that one time and she said, my favorite role. Well, I haven't done that one yet. So, and I thought that was a brilliant answer, because I mean, I've had some great roles that I've loved, and I've had a lot of fun working on things, but my greatest, the one that I'm not sure I've actually done the one that I would consider my greatest role yet. But there've been lots of favorites. I loved the Arthur Miller plays and the Tennessee Williams plays and those rich characters. I've loved those a lot, and even some original plays that were developed by people at the Actors Studio that I got to play roles that I don't normally get to play. So there have just been so many, it's hard to say what would have been my favorite, but I can tell you that the one I'm doing right now has been my favorite so far in television.
It sounds like it.
But they keep getting better. These roles keep getting better. Yeah, it's a fun one. Yeah.
So who's your favorite actor? That who's the best actor you worked with so far that you really enjoyed working with?
Well, I've worked with a lot of great actors. That guy, I mean, I gained so much respect. I always liked him as an actor, but the first day I worked with him and I saw how masterfully skilled he is at seeing who you are, figuring you out really quickly. So by the time they say action, he has you.
Right.
And boy, he was so skilled that I just was blown away by him. So that's one. But last year I got to work with the woman that I would say has been my greatest inspiration as an actress in my younger years, and that was Jessica Lange.
Okay.
And when I first started acting, and for the first 10 or 15 years, I watched every single movie she did, and I bought most of them, and I watched them over and over and over and over and over, because every time I watched her work, I saw more. And I could watch these movies over and over and still be fascinated by her. And, you know, just, gosh, what she brings to the table. So it was amazing to get to work with her and Shirley MacLaine in the same movie, which hasn't come out yet. That one's called Wild Oats.
Okay.
But that was, so there's a few that I've been really blown away by. But I could tell you lots of them that I've been really amazed by, and a few of them that I've worked with at the Actors Studio. I just have so much respect for, because their skills are so incredible, and yet they're so giving and supportive of the generations coming up behind them.
You want to talk about the film Aurora? That's still being put together too, isn't it?
Oh yes, Aurora. Yes, that was a really wonderful filming experience, definitely. This guy, I got to stop calling him a kid because that's not fair. But the first time I worked with him, he was 18 years old, which is why I keep calling him a kid, but I need to stop doing that.
Right.
I was so amazed at his skills on a set. I was just sitting there like, how is this kid, 18 years old, and he's this good on a set. Like, it just was amazing to me how he worked with his actors, how he rallied his crew, how he just managed to create this wonderful environment of creative collaboration. He was just so wonderful to work with. And since then, we've always kept in touch. We worked together on this film, Aurora, a couple of years ago in Switzerland and the Czech Republic. And again, I'm just amazed by this young man. And so he actually finished the film. And now I'm not sure what all I'm allowed to say, but he's working with some really big producers now who are helping a little bit more in post, and they intend to distribute it. So we're waiting for it to open. And I'm not sure what all I'm allowed to say, but that film is coming soon. And I think people will be really amazed and in awe when they see the caliber of work coming from this young man. His name is Robert Kuba, and I just think he is so exceptional that he will probably, I'm certain he will be one of our greatest filmmakers. This guy will end up being a legend in our industry. I just believe that.
Okay. What was your first major break as far as television?
Let me think about that. First major break as far as television. Well, the first one was major and then minor, if that makes sense.
Okay.
The first one, I got hired for a recurring role on a TV show that was called Ryan Caulfield for Fox that ended up later being called The Badlands, and it would have been a fantastic series if it weren't for the time slot that it got put in, and then quickly it got pulled by the network before it ever actually even had a chance to show all the episodes that
Wow.
they shot. So that was like my first, and then it didn't sustain, and my career has involved quite a bit of ups and downs and struggles through the years because I've had to overcome a lot of the industry's limitations.
Yeah, I understand that.
That's the way I'm going to put it. Because of having been a child in a wheelchair and having a spinal cord injury, I have a rebuilt leg, and I wear a brace on it for pain relief and for security so that I can feel safe moving around rapidly. And while I'm extremely active and fine, that little bit of physical difference has been an enormous challenge in terms of getting into casting offices in our industry. It's slammed a lot of doors for me through the years, and even recently, when it comes to people that don't know me yet or what I've done or what I've come through, or and so I'm always amazed at that. It always blows me away that people will completely judge an actor before they ever even begin, just based on something physical. It's always amazed me, and in many years it has infuriated me, and I just have refused to stop going. I'm not going to stop because of other people's limitations on their own ability to accept people.
Yes, true.
And so, and I've been through a lot of ups and downs with that, and what I have learned is that the more creative people, they're very open. They're very open-minded, and a lot of them see it as, wow, that adds to my stories, my characters, and all that. And so, thanks to the wisdom of my brilliant mother, who left this earth way too young, I learned enough from her in my youth to carry it with me through this business. And she always taught me that, if someone's being unreasonable, go over their heads. And so, while I never wanted to do that to people,
right.
The older I get and the more I've endured this, the more I absolutely must go over people's heads when they're being unreasonable. And I've got a lot of stories where a door was absolutely slammed shut, and I ended up making friends with their bosses or whoever was over the whole show, or or they end up getting fired off the show, and the next casting director who comes in knows me, or I used to work for them, or,
Yeah.
I learned, that you can't just go silently and take that kind of stuff. So while the breaks took a long time in coming, I'm finally getting to the point where my resume is screaming louder than any kind of slight limp that I might have.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yes. I mean, with everything you've done, I mean, it seems like it's overcome a lot of that,
Yes, we have gotten to the point where it's overcome a lot of that. Although it still comes up. I mean, I just had that happen in a casting office that didn't know me just a couple weeks ago before I came out to do this show. And, and the reason that we knew this was because my agent even got a call about it. And I was like, you've got to be kidding me. Yeah, I mean, you absolutely have to be kidding me now because, we're film and television. That's head and shoulders, eyes and soul, I like to say. A lot of people have things wrong with them. I don't run around pointing it out.
That's true. That's true.
Occasionally, just to see how people feel when I do it back to them, I have pointed out people's flaws because I'm like, oh, really? Because there's this about you and this and this and this. Because, you get so frustrated when people are just like, everybody has flaws, everybody has broken parts. And if they're not out on the outside glaring at you, they are on the inside and probably far more dangerous. You know what I mean?
Right. When they have when they have like two fingers pointing at you, they got three pointing back.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So, and I laugh at it now. I mean, because of the fact that I realize, there's a reason that I will outlast a lot of the people in our industry. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because when you're meant to do this and you're here for the career and your work, they can slam a door. 100 of them can slam a door, and guess what? There's 100 more right behind them. And the younger generations come much more open-minded. They are.
Yeah.
Like this young man I've been telling you about that I've been doing with, and a counted now are all like, they love having stuff like that to work with. They love the depth that it comes with it. And I've also found that, I've worked with a handful of, directors and people coming in from Europe and other countries, and, they in England and everything, and they're very open. So I don't know why we're a little behind the curve here, but maybe that's the reason for me being here with this, the brickhead that I have.
Right.
that it needed to, it required somebody like me continuing to pound on these doors for 24 years and refusing to stop or give up or quit.
In a way, you be an inspiration for others because like they would look at you and say, well, look at the limitations she has. Look at what she's done. If she could do it, we could do it too.
Exactly. And I think that that's a movement that's really long overdue in our whole world. I
Right.
just feel like, there is no perfection of the human body. There is none. And if there is some perfection of the human body somewhere, I just think, oh, God help you, because no one gets through life unscathed. No one.
That's true.
And so I just find it amazing that with all the movements we've had, especially in our industry, to welcome people and to accept people regardless of their race, their color, their religion, that we haven't gotten to physical differences yet.
Right.
And why is that? And a lot of times the fight that's inside of me, it's for all those kids, because we have all these bully campaigns and all these anti-bully campaigns.
Yeah.
But if you really get to the root of what bullying is, I mean, I know this. I was a handicapped child. I got bullied all the time.
Oh, I went through a lot of it in grammar school myself.
It's terrible. Yeah. And once you've been through that stuff, I learned a lot about it because I wanted to understand why they were always picking me. And even in the adult world, you'll find the bullies will find people like me, and I wanted to understand why. And so I did a lot of research and studying on it, and I learned that people with physical challenges, disabilities, are the #1 targets of bullies. Yeah. And I'm like, well, if we really want to eradicate bullying,
and that's really unfortunate. It should be that way, I mean.
Yeah, we've got to get to the root of it, and the root of it is lack of acceptance for differences. And the reason that we have such a great, enormous lack of acceptance for differences in our world is because we keep putting out into the world on TV and film that in order for people to be special, they have to be perfect.
Yeah.
And that is such disservice to the entire
And,
human
and,
race.
and really, it's not.
That
It's not.
we have
It's not a perfect.
eradicated it a lot sooner.
It's not a perfect
Yes,
world.
it's not a perfect world, and it really is a disservice to every human being on the planet, because people are raised a lot by television and film now. They're told what to accept by film and television
Right.
now, and online with what they're watching. And if we don't get to a place where we teach everyone that it's okay to accept everyone and that all differences have their place in this world, it's when we get to that place with our art and entertainment that we're going to get to a place of acceptance for all kids. And that is probably what drives me stronger than any other thing.
It's very.
I just don't want to see any more kids go through that kind of stuff. It breaks my heart every time I even hear about it.
Yeah. Yeah. I feel the same way. Because you know, no matter who we are, we're always going to be judged. But it's not about. That was always a problem. Was living up to everybody else's expectations and trying to match up with them. And every time you try, I mean, me myself, I tripped and fell over myself. But it's about being who you are, and
exactly, and that who you are is exactly who you're supposed to be, and
right.
It doesn't matter what that difference is. It's like, it just doesn't matter what it is.
Sure.
It's like you're allowed to be who you are in this world. We've had a lot of people lay down their lives to give us that right to be who we are, and we just need to get the general public to be more accepting. And I believe they are. They just need more exposure, because I noticed that every time there's a character that is legitimately physically flawed or challenged on TV and film, people embrace them. People want to see those differences. I mean, look at RJ Mitty in Breaking Bad, and look at how many now these kids that are coming up in these roles that people are like honoring them now. And I think the more that we see of these kind of differences,
right,
and the less we keep perpetuating that illusion of perfection, the happier the world is going to be that we live in.
Okay.
I just believe that.
Now you want to make mention some of the TV shows you've been on. What are some of your favorites you've been in? Because I know you were in Criminal Minds. I like that show. And
you like which one?
What's that?
Which one did you just say?
Criminal Minds. You were in that.
Oh my gosh, I loved Criminal Minds.
Yeah.
I mean, my role was a guest star, as a small role, but I loved working on that show, and I loved all the people, and I loved my director on the show, who's one of the producers. I loved the actors. I just loved working on that show. Every bit of it was a really good experience. And Bones was another one that I absolutely
I like that one
loved
too.
working on. And that was a couple of episodes, so it was a bit larger role. Of course, Sons of Anarchy was one of my favorites of all time, and also one of my biggest disappointments because the storyline got cut. So
that's a shame.
I always think about that and go, "Wow, what would have happened if that hadn't happened?" But I feel confident that someday an equally creative creator-writer will write me an equally fun and amazing role,
right,
like that. And so it'll come, it'll happen. I feel really fortunate in the last few years, and right now it seems to be happening. I gotta say, I did this pilot for Game of Silence, and it was. I can't get into specifics, obviously, because it hasn't even aired yet. But
right,
I had the most amazing role in the pilot, and worked with this wonderful director, Niels Arden Oplov, and it just was such a great collaboration. And now they've really expanded this role, which we knew was going to recur, but now it's happening, and the role is a lot of fun, and a nice range, a really nice range for me. So who knows what's next? But I love challenges. Obviously, my life dictates that I must enjoy challenges, right? So I love challenging roles.
Now you were in the TV show, the TV series Hung. You want to talk about that?
Ah, yes, Hung. Oh, that was a special one. In the years that I'd gone through some some years there where I literally absolutely had to hide who I was walking in the door. And going into that audition, I wore a skirt to the floor, which is often one of my tactics to make sure casting doesn't see anything, because if casting sees it, the door slams and I don't get back in. And that's
Man.
just been the experience so many times over that I just got to where I hit it and well
Right.
until I got enough known in this town that you couldn't really that they knew. But for that particular one, I went in and I had a skirt to the floor, but the rest of me dressed like a street hooker from Detroit. And
Yeah.
so after the first episode on there, they expanded my role because it was just going to be a one-time guest star. It ended up growing into this recurring role, and it was the first time in cable television. It was the first time in television in any role where they wanted to show my legs and my brace.
Really?
And I thought, okay, I literally said to them, I smiled, because Dimitri, one of the creators of the show, he and his wife Colette were very, very creative and collaborative, and he came to me and he said, do you mind if we show that? And I just looked at him and I smiled and I said, well, it'll either make me or break me. So,
Right.
all right, let's go for it. So they put me in a mini skirt with, my brace on and showing. And, I was like, fine, and it was very revealing because I had to hide it for so many years. But I was like, you know what? Let it rip. We'll see what happens. And, so that was a great experience, because then they never even talked about the why or anything. They just showed it.
Right.
And it just worked. And then they just kept writing my character back in and had that. That's another one that was such a heartbreak when the show got canceled.
Really?
Going into the next season, because I was working opposite Lenny James, and he had told me on the plane on the way back from our last episode we shot together that the next season was opening on our storyline. And then
Wow.
the show got canceled, and the canceling of the show had more to do with, from what I understand, HBO having to shut down some of the longer running shows because of that Luck show that had cost them so much money, where the horses died and all that.
Yeah.
So it really had nothing to do with our show, but it got canceled, and I was like, oh man. But that was another one where I just felt so grateful and appreciative and just thrilled. And every time I got another call and they said they're bringing you back again, I was always like, yay. I will forever be grateful to those creators, because they just saw it and fearlessly said, yay, we like that, let's bring it, And I appreciate that kind of creativity so much, because there's so much you can add to a character for that, because you don't have to write it in, but you can if you want to, and then suddenly you have all this depth that's coming with your characters,
Right. Now you were in CSI Miami, Toller's mother, Countermeasures.
Yes.
CSI Miami is one of my all-time favorite CSIs. I'm sorry they canceled it, but I continue to watch it. I just love it.
That show. Well, Carol Mendelson is
Yeah.
one of the executive producers. She's also one of the executive producers on this show I'm doing now, Game of Silence.
Okay.
Which is awesome. But interesting, CSI Miami. That's another one where when I auditioned, it was a teeny, tiny little part. And but an important part, because that was, Toller was their notorious uncatchable serial killer, right?
Right.
So he kept flashing back to his childhood and the mother that created this storm for him, and that was me. And I absolutely loved working with these producers and that director. It was just a wonderful experience. And then a week later, I got another call and they brought me back. And I was like, they're bringing me back? I didn't think that there was more to this. And,
yeah.
And when I got back, they said, we just love what you did. So we want some more. We want more to put in there. So that was nice. It was a fun experience. It was a challenge. With the little child that was in it, because
Right.
he was very scared of me in the scene, even though we tried really hard to prep him for what was coming. And I even said to him, now you realize when he yells action, I have to yell and scream, right? And he's like, yes. And I was like, but I'm not yelling at you. I'm yelling at the spot behind your head on the wall. That's what
Yeah.
I'm yelling at, not you. And so, but when they yelled action and it started going, he started to cry. And it was so painful. It was so painful. But later, they brought in a girl that was like 19
Yeah.
who had the same hairdo and who was tiny. And then they, had the back of her head later so that we could do more of it without, the child being, traumatized by the yelling, So it was fun though. I mean, it was a fun shoot. And with the little girl, it was a lot of fun. I mean, little small sized girl that they picked to play the little boy because he was too young. He didn't really understand,
Okay. Good, Rich.
Yeah, I got a question. We saw an Instagram picture that you had posted on your website.
Yeah.
It looks like a Halloween makeup
Yeah.
job there. What was that?
Yeah, what was that? What was that?
Are you talking about the one just yesterday?
Yes.
Oh, this is funny. I had a few days off from this show, and I went to hang with some of my childhood friends, kids I went to high school with in Fort Lauderdale, and they have kids, and I didn't have a costume because I didn't know I was going to be out here this long, and I just didn't have time to prep anything. So I just pulled out, I told you I used to be an artist, so I just pulled out all the makeup colors that were in my thing. Then I was like, what can I do with this? And I just
That was
started
pretty cool.
painting
Pretty
my
cool
face.
looking.
Oh, thank you. So that was all the eyeliner I didn't really want. I just painted my face, and then that Halloween party last night, I told the kids, this is what happens if you eat too much candy.
Yep. It can happen.
Yep. You turn green, your veins start popping out of your head. That was fun. Yeah.
All right.
It was a fun Halloween, but mostly because I just love hanging around the kids and watching them and all their fun. So.
So this the game of silence. When is that going to be due out?
The rumor that I'm hearing is February.
Okay.
But we don't have a set date yet, so I don't really know. But I can assure you that the minute they give us the green light and they give us a date, I will have it all over Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere. The date will be showing everywhere. So I will let you know for sure.
Okay.
I'm very excited about this show because I just I'm just so excited about this show because not only do I love the writers and creators of this, but the cast is amazing and they're just amazing human beings as well. And one of them, Michael Raymond James, I've known for a few years now at the Actors Studio, so that's really nice because we kind of when you're in that same environment for a while, you know each other's work and that kind of stuff, and so we understand each other work wise, and in the level of passion we bring to our work and everything, and just the girls that I'm working with regularly, Bree Blair, and just all of them, they're just wonderful people. I'm having a really good time working with everybody here.
Okay. You want to give us any links for people to look you up, find out anything about yourself or what you're involved in?
Sure. I mean, of course, you can always find me on IMDb. That's easy to find, Eileen Grubba.
Right.
And I'm on Twitter at the same thing. Eileen Grubba is my handle there, and on Instagram. And I do have a Facebook sort of fan page that's also Eileen Grubba. But the personal page is full. It's got, it's full. It won't let you take on more people after a while. And but there is a fan page where I post all the stuff that's going on. And I mean, it's always easy to find me. I've written a lot of articles and blogs and things about, things like overcoming challenges in our industry. And, I've written a few things in support of the disabled community and, the cancer communities. So I'm always an advocate for those groups because I've overcome those things. So,
Do you
I
do you
feel
do a
it's
lot of
right.
volunteer work with a lot of that?
I used to do a lot. I still do when they ask me to. Like a lot of times, like even just in the fall, somebody asked me if I would come speak at the Miss Wheelchair pageant, and I always say yes to those things. Children's Rare Disease Network, those kind of things. I used to do like actual hands-on volunteer stuff. Like years ago, I used to work like at Scottish Rite Children's Hospital. I was a volunteer in the children's cancer ward, and so now anytime they need me to speak at something or encourage patients, like I get brought out across the country, you know at least once a year, if not more, to speak to challenged patients and things like that. So I'm no longer like in the hospital like hands on like I was, and that just simply has a lot to do with the time and all that. But how I'm also addressing these issues that are so important to me and close to my heart is also by not only writing so that people can read about it and understand a little more of the challenges out there, but also I write about it in the screenplays that I write, because my dream is to create more of a dialogue and more understanding and more of an open environment for people with all kinds of challenges. So that is my dream, and it drives me. And so it's easy to Google Eileen Grubba, Grubba, and find all kinds of articles and things
Right.
I've written, and way too much about my life that I really wish wasn't all out all over the internet, but it is. So there's that. So I'm easy to find.
Yeah, we're gonna post your website information on our information page right on the for YouTube. So it'll be there for everybody to see. They can click on and look at your website then. If you can put this video on your website too, that'd be cool too.
Oh yeah, will
see.
you send me a link when you're done with this, and I will put it up there.
Yes, we will. Yes,
Absolutely.
we will. But I really enjoyed talking to you, and you always have my love, strength, and support with everything you do. And I hope we continue to be friends and we keep in touch. And man, I was just a thrill to talk to you. It really is. And
Oh, thank you. It's been my pleasure. Thank you.
again, thank you for being on with us this afternoon. And thank you. And you take care. And
Thank you.
all right. Have a good night and God bless.
Okay, you too. I'm off to learn some lines for tomorrow.
Okay.
I've got
All
my
right.
pages sitting here, so it was great talking with you both. Thank you very much.
Thank
And
you.
I'm looking forward to listening, and I will share it out there. Thank you.
All right.
Good night.
Good night. All right. It was Eileen Grubba, actress. I hope you enjoyed that. Hope you enjoyed that interview. It was really nice talking to her. So out there on YouTube land, I really appreciate you guys joining me this afternoon. And hey, have a good Sunday, and be good to yourself. But remember this: no act of kindness, no matter how small, is never wasted. And hey, if you're interested in putting together your own internet radio podcast show, go to thekaraokezone.com and check out my buddy Rich Munich. Say hi, Rich.
Hi.
And Rich will get you going on that. And of course, Rich helps me to produce my show, and he does really good job, and he's a good friend too. So again, thank you all for joining me. And hey, you know what? Go on his page and check him out too. Look for Rich Munich on YouTube also. He's got a lot of good stuff he's got posted there. So anyway, and when you're on YouTube, click on like, and please click on subscribe. And I would like to inform you that I have a Patreon account, and if you can donate at least $5, be most appreciated. But keep in mind that the shows that we post are always free to the listener, but a little extra always helps too, and is always much appreciated. So again, thank you all for joining me this afternoon. Be good to yourself. Let at least one person know you love them, And we'll see you next time. Take care. God bless. Bye-bye.